Welcome to the For Healing Girls YouTube channel. Today we're talking to a topic that is really close to my heart, a topic that I believe is one of the reasons I was placed on earth, and that is healing from childhood sexual abuse as an adult woman or as a young girl, and even healing from rape as well, because rape is also a kind of sexual abuse or sexual violence
Mm.
against women and children. The statistics in Nigeria is a bit shaky. We're just discussing that with my guest, whom I'm about to introduce very soon. But the research is not really extensive in Nigeria. There are no bodies that are dedicated to this thing solely. But from way back as 2015,
16.
2018, yes, to 2019, it's still saying that there are about
6 out of 10 girls and 4 out of 10 boys who are sexually abused before the age of 18.
18. So it's a cankerworm that is eating deep
Mm.
into our society. I just want to talk to people who have gone through that to
Mm.
see how you can help yourself even without therapy and without
Mm.
help. So without much talking, I want to introduce my guest, Mrs. Khadija Abdullahi Iya. She's very dear to my heart. I call her MM, mother and mentor, because she's been such an inspiration to me. She was one of the first people that I physically had a meeting with to talk about sexual abuse in children, and I started to volunteer with WCA, one of her founding companies, and I think since 2018. And we had a big program,
So,
yes, a summit in Abuja where we broke the silence, and we had men and we had women who were
broke
bold
this.
enough to come forward and say, I have been
Even
abused.
celebrity
Even
women.
celebrities, someone we know very
Yeah.
well,
Mm.
yes. And she's a lawyer. I know most of you are saying her business and you're like, is this not vice president? Yes, but that's not what we are here. So I'm not going to really center on that. Welcome on the For Healing Health YouTube channel.
Thank
And
you for having me, Didi.
I'm so happy that you made our time for us to just sit down and have this discussion. We've been saying it since
Yeah.
2 years ago now.
Mm.
How are you? Have you been? How's your um what do you call it now? Your humanitarian work in this space. How's it going? How's your
I think everybody is fighting one battle or the other, and we're all struggling to survive whatever comes. I think also that when you're passionate about a cause, when you're passionate about what you do,
yeah.
you always find some resilience to stay and to stay on.
Yeah.
You always find there's always the energy that comes in from deep within you that helps you to forge ahead. So whatever situation comes to you, you know how to overcome them by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Yes, and also knowing that there are people out there that are already looking up to you, and you don't have the luxury to give up.
True.
You just have to keep moving.
That's
Moving.
true. That's true. I know that you've worked with. I personally can count, and this is me that is just observing and who have
Mm,
worked with you
mm,
on WCA. I think last year we had quite a number of cases that were brought on the platform,
mm,
and then we were able to help because it's a
mm.
coalition. We're now
Yeah.
able to help by giving it to
NAPTID,
organizations.
yes,
Aha.
those people that, yeah.
Yes. So I can't even count the number of people that you've worked with. But I wanted to ask you, what have you learned working with women and children who have gone through sexual abuse, children who have gone through sexual abuse as kids, and then women who have gone through sexual and physical violence? What has that taught you about the human condition?
I
What
think
has that taught you about human beings?
I think the human being is fragile, and that the human subconscious is fragile, and it just takes one little tiny pick. It's not tiny. Sexual abuse is not tiny. So one thing can destabilize a human. One very deep cut. I see sexual abuse as a cut,
Yeah.
like um, just like we have cuts on our legs, maybe when we fall down and have injuries. I think sexual violence cuts deep into the soul
Mm.
of the victim, the survivor. We don't like to call them victims, we
Yes.
call
For
them
them
survivors
survivors. Yeah.
because they survived. So they cut deep into their soul, and then if care is not taken, it becomes a wound that nobody can touch.
Hmm.
Only the person themselves that can touch that wound and heal by themselves.
I'm happy that you're coming to that, because that's what this particular video is about.
Mm.
That there's a situation going on in Nigeria where, of course, we're one of the poorest nations on earth, and therapy seems to be the buzzword. Everybody's talking about, oh, therapy, therapy, therapy. But how many people in the grassroots? You go to the communities, you've traveled extensively across Nigeria, especially northern Nigeria. You know the situation on ground. How many people can afford therapy? And even when the big wigs, the big organizations come in and say, okay, we're going to bring therapy to these children, we're going to pay for free, it's not sustainable.
The truth is, how many therapists do we even have in Nigeria? Because you want to look at the ratio.
Therapies that talk to this, because we have therapy
Yes.
for you.
So that's what I'm saying. How many do we even have in when you look at it wholesomely? We don't even have enough therapists, even when you look at the other issues.
Yeah.
And talk about therapists
For
for
children,
gender-based,
child
child sexual abuse. I don't think we even have enough in Nigeria. And even if we do, even the ones that can afford it don't like going to them.
Very true.
The ones, and then talk, not to talk about the ones that cannot even afford it, or the ones in the grassroots. The ones in the grassroots do not even think, they do not even know that they need to go to therapy.
You don't even pay attention to the wound.
They don't even know. They just, like, they fall down, they dust that behind, and
And
they
they
keep
have
moving.
to,
And then without knowing that there's a wound in them that they need to treat.
and that wound is responsible for
Maybe some of the actions
that is going on in their
in their
life.
lives, and they do not know. And I feel, I do not like, I don't want to call people damaged
Mm-hmm.
damaged goods, because a lot of these people are damaged, and a lot of them do not even realize that rape, that violence, even if it's as tiny and subtle as a touch for a child, a touch that is amorous,
Yeah, that's
even as subtle as that, that they don't know that it has eaten deep into them,
and can manifest
and can
in the way
manifest in
they live
the
their
way they
life,
even
their
move.
choices.
So somebody I know that is very close to me, when she goes to bed, and sometimes I go to wake her or something, and she just, so, and sometimes I want to ask her that she does not like anybody to touch her.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I ask her, has anybody even tried to touch her? And she said no. But she's very sensitive to anybody. So those kind of people that are already sensitive to people touching them. Imagine, God
If
forbid,
they went through that kind of hurt, it's going to be disastrous.
it's going to be disastrous. So I think when you have those, when we have people like that, it becomes even dangerous for the communities. Our community will be endangered.
Yes.
Because you have sick people walking around without being treated.
True. And another thing that I wanted to point out was that, and I wanted to hear your thoughts about, was we know that when children are abused, they can go ahead to do the whole child on child abuse, or they can become adults who repeat the cycle if care is not taken.
If care is not taken, it becomes even a cycle of scorn. Because the most times when statistics have shown that, I don't know the statistics right now, a lot of people who have been abused when they were children grow up to abuse other children. And it's worst for the men, because the men who are abused as children, because of the cultural and traditional elements that we have in Nigeria and in our African culture, they can't talk about it. They are seen as weak to even attempt to talk about what they are going through. They become violent people.
We've seen that
They
happen.
become
We've
very
seen that happen
violent,
in our
and then
communities.
they allow they move around with this thing, and then at the end of the day, is either they abuse boys themselves or they abuse girls,
Or even both. We've
or
had
even both.
cases. We've had
Bisexual,
cases.
yes,
Yeah,
like
we've
this.
had cases. You've had cases where
Yes.
a man is abusing girls and
Mm.
he's abusing
Boys,
boys.
yeah.
It's
We've
touching
had it
both
that, but
sexes.
yeah. So a lot of people do not even understand the danger in people who have been sexually abused. People do not understand the magnitude.
The concept of hurts people.
Yes, they do not understand the magnitude of these people whose souls have been hurt,
Mm.
whose souls have been injured, for them to be moving around. It manifests in so many ways, especially when these people get into public offices.
Hmm. That's one thing that is not really spoken about.
People don't talk about that. And at the end of the day, this injured souls enjoy a lot of people, enjoy even the economy of the country, enjoy because they are moving around as if nothing happened and they are sick.
It's just like you're having like COVID. During the COVID period, they had to isolate people
Mm.
who have been found to have COVID, and they had to give them immense treatment. Now you're saying that we should treat sexual abuse as a
As yes,
sickness.
it's a sickness. It should be
If
treated
a child
properly.
is being abused, the child should have
Proper
serious
care,
proper care.
psychosocial support is needed
Hmm.
for that child. The child should go through a process. The process should be from talking to the child to having activities that will help the child to
Play
express
therapy.
themselves. Play
Yeah.
therapy. The child can also go through um, activities to relate to other children.
I think there's one thing that you said now. There's one thing you said off camera, and I would really love you to talk about on camera. The importance of spiritual care.
Yeah.
We are in a very religious country, one of the
Yes.
most religious countries on earth.
But then religiosity
Is different from
is different from
spirituality, yes.
spirituality.
I need to
I
point that
always tell
out. You
you, yes,
always tell me that, so
yes,
I need to point that out.
religiosity is different from
So let's
spirituality.
leave the religiosity
So
now. Let's talk
so
about
it's the
the
spiritual
spirit. Yeah.
aspect of it. So one time we were given the opportunity that there's this global camp Africa that came to Nigeria. I don't know if I spoke to you about. We're supposed to do psychosocial support for the people at the
IDP.
Bay areas. That's
Okay.
Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe.
Okay.
So we had a fantastic program that
Planned out.
planned out. We still have it. I still have the document. A fantastic psychosocial program planned out for these people. And one of the things I just want to speak through the process.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we plan to do for our, so it's going to be, it was supposed to be a 10 days program.
Okay.
With trained specialists in a camp where these children will stay. So as you're coming into the camp, as your registration for this what this or that the program was focused on children with conflict.
Okay.
So when you're coming into the camp, you have this you're handed a white cap to place on your head. That white cap, they instruct you, the people, that's the attendants, will sit you down and tell you that, okay, the color red is meant for blood, blue is for tranquility. They tell you different types of colors and what it meant, what they stand for.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving you an example
Yeah.
of how sexual violence is supposed to be addressed in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So they take them there. So these children come in, when they come in, they sit them down. They tell them, okay, so just tell your story with these colors, so that the rationale there is that when the attendants are moving around and they see your cap, they'll be able to identify the child who has been who has seen more blood in his life,
Mm.
than tranquility, and they will know
Mm.
that
The
that
kind
guy
of
is a
care.
the care to give that child,
Very important. Very, very
the
important.
kind of care to give that child. And they asked them to draw these colors on their cap and what it signifies.
Signifies.
There was one child that said that he saw his mother running in Borno State. His mother was running with them. She was holding one child, and then the she was dragging the other child. She was running away from the Boko Haramists, and as she was running away, she removed the socket of the
Oh
child,
my god. Oh
and
my god.
the child,
Oh my god.
yes, and she didn't even know until she got to her destination.
Oh
She
my
looked back,
god.
she only saw the hand of her child, and the other child she was holding. So she lost the child
And
in
that
that.
child, that little child
So now
witnessed
that
that.
child was asked to draw how many kinds of blood, how many pains he has felt, and you could see a lot of red on it. So why am I
Oh,
bringing this here? I'm saying that if we are going to look at people who have been sexually abused, there are so many therapeutic ways
to
to go
go about
about it.
helping them.
You can put them in a camp and treat them the way they should be treated by letting them express themselves in so many creative ways. So many creative ways to approach
Now
it.
that's for children.
That's for children. That's for children. So many creative ways to go. For the adults, you can adopt and use the same template for the adults, because you like it or not, we're children at heart, all of us.
And you know, there's a um there's a psycho concept where some psychologists believe that if you were hurt as a 3-year-old, if you are
You need to
sexually
go back
abused
there.
as a 3-year-old, you need to go back there because you're still a 3-year-old.
It's still that
Mostly,
3 year old,
yes,
or hanging on to that
yes,
3 year old kind of
yes,
thing.
yes.
So basically, if we want to treat that gender based violence issue, we
Yeah.
need to really be serious about it. We need to be intentional, and then we need to make sure that we're able to get these people together in one place and
Mm-hmm.
do, because sometimes healing together is very powerful.
Yes. Community healing,
Community
community
healing,
therapy, group therapy.
it's very, very effective.
What
It's even more effective than doing
the
it one by one
individual at
individual, because
times.
at the end of the day, the individual feels lonely.
True.
The individual feels lonely, and you
Feels
are doing
isolated. Like I'm
isolated,
the only one that
and
have
that is
gone through
going
this
through
in my
this, yes,
life.
and then it manifests in so many ways.
I'm really happy with the way the conversation is going. Like, you know that what we wrote down is not even what we are discussing. I'm
Yeah,
so happy with the way the conversation is
yeah,
going. I like the fact that we're talking about how people need community to heal,
yes,
and
yes,
you're big on
yeah.
community.
I'm big.
Everything you
Everything
do,
I do
you
is
even have an organization called Women Community in Africa. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you again was, what are the common challenges that you see grown women face who were sexually abused as a child or were raped as adults? Because I see in my own work too, I see that people who were sexually abused as children manifest the same
kinds
symptoms
of
as women
symptoms.
who are raped as children.
Like you already mentioned earlier on,
Yeah.
when a person is was abused as a child, as a 3 year old, the person also grows up to still hold on to that 3 year old. That 3 year old inside of that person, the person carries around.
Hmm.
So when you're going to talk to a woman,
Yeah.
you go back to that 3 year old person and see how you can get that 3 year old
To
person out
talk.
of to talk.
But what are the kind of challenges they face now as adults? In
Uh,
marriage, in career, in interacting with
one of
people.
the things that some of the ladies I've spoken to told me is that sexual intimacy with their intimate partners are very, very difficult for them.
Hmm.
It takes them back.
Hmm.
It's agitating for them. They don't even enjoy sex anymore. Most women. Some feel it takes a while for them to heal from that pain and begin. It takes also an intimate partner
That is
that is
intentional.
intentional, that is also um, very aware, because it's there are some who are just a lot of men. I would say that are very insensitive to these kinds of things, and
Hmm.
some are very sensitive to it. But we have more people who are insensitive than the ones that
Who
are
are
sensitive
sensitive.
because of some even cultural, traditional limitations.
Yeah.
Some men do not even want you to talk about.
The fact that you were abused or raped.
Some don't even want that.
And we
So
know how if you're not talking to your husband
the
or
person who's supposed to know,
about these issues, then
then
what
so they
quality of
carry they,
life?
they, they carry this around them, and it becomes a problem. It becomes a soft thumb in their
Hmm.
marriage.
Hmm.
So it takes therapy again to get them to talk and for them to align their minds. And again, this therapy thing, a lot of men will not go to therapy,
Hmm.
especially if they know that they are not the ones that have the problem.
It takes a man that probably
That
loves his
truly
wife
cares.
and
That
cares and
truly
wants
cares.
the health, the
Yes, yeah.
well-being, to
That truly
follow her
cares.
and say she was abused. I'm
Yeah,
here
yeah,
to talk about
yeah,
it. And
absolutely. So yeah, so another thing that the manifest in the women is maybe most times they don't even want to have children,
hmm,
and
the fear.
sometimes yes, the fear of the unknown, and then sometimes when they have the children, they're overprotective of the children. They don't. They are paranoid about
Hmm.
anybody, even their
Mm-hmm.
siblings or anybody, to
Mm-hmm.
come near their
Yeah.
children. They also, some of the things they go through is um, they hate men. There's a lot of hate within them, and it takes a while for them to overcome that hate if they are able. So most times, what I know that from the northern women, the
Yeah.
ones that I've
You've
spoken
spoken
to,
to.
the northern women, one of the things that work for them, except of course your generation
Mm-hmm.
who are too into
Mm-hmm.
social media and all of that,
Yeah.
and then the western kind of therapy and strategies they
Yes.
want to adopt,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't say it doesn't work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not too effective.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing that works for the northern woman is a spirituality,
Hmm.
because you must know that um, we have to also be careful about the spirituality angle to it. We need to avoid spiritual bypass.
And what is spiritual
So
bypass?
spiritual bypass is bypassing also means somebody, like you come to me and you're telling me that, oh, this is what has happened to me, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, okay, go and read Kulu Allahu Ahad
Hmm.
and all of those
Mm.
things
Mm-hmm.
and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and it will go. It's just one of those things. It's
Hmm.
normal.
Hmm.
Then what I've done is I've given you positive negativity, which is toxic. Sorry,
Yeah.
positive toxicity,
Yes.
which is not it,
You've
which does
not
not have
helped
not
me
helped
per
you
se.
per se,
You've not
because
even listened to me.
yes,
You
I've
just
never
told me,
listened,
oh,
and
you were abused as a child. Read
I
this.
normalized it. That's the spiritual bypass. By
Hmm.
I'm telling you to go and get some spiritual words and all of that to forget, because
Hmm.
and not because I do not want to help you, but because I don't want to delve into your pain.
I don't, and sometimes because I didn't even want to get
I
emotional.
don't want to get emotional. So sometimes this spiritual bypassing can come in different forms.
And I'm happy you spoke about it from your perspective as a Muslim
Yes.
woman, because it's the same thing with the
Is this
Christian woman.
mm,
Even with our own Christianity, where we even have women of God who
mm,
head churches or
mm,
who are big in their
mm,
own spiritual settings.
mm.
When little girls go to those women and say, or women go to those women and say, I was abused as a child, some of them bring in the spiritual
Yes,
bypass and
yeah.
say, oh, go and read the
Yes,
word of God. He said, I will be with you,
but
you
it
know.
doesn't
It
work. It
doesn't
doesn't.
work. The women are yearning for more.
So what a woman needs when you want to use spirituality to cure your pain and all of that, the best way is you are not the one to tell the person to choose that.
Hmm.
You don't have that right.
Hmm.
What the person is yearning from you is for you to listen, and as
That's
you're
the first thing.
listening, as you're listening, you're not judging the person.
You're validating.
You're validating the pain. The best you can do is to hug the person and feel the pain. And hugging doesn't have to be just like hugging. It has to be real, heartfelt
genuine
hugging. Because what the hugging can do in that person's subconscious is deeper than you can ever know.
I know that because I
what
remember
you're saying basically is that I understand what you're going through.
I see you.
I see you. I feel you. And that may even just be enough for the person.
True.
If the person wants to choose some spiritual remedies, that should be the person's choice, not you drowning it, maybe pushing it,
forcing it on the
forcing
person.
it in the person's throat to do that. You don't have that right.
I remember when we went for one of our outreaches and somebody came to you and told you, I think we went for, I keep saying this story anyway because it was powerful for me. We went to speak with parents, teachers, and children. A town hall. And a woman in, I think that woman should be in her 40s.
She was in, I think, 40s.
Late 30s.
No, 40s. 40s or 45.
Yes. And she comes to you and tell you she was abused. And I remember I was standing near a window. And it's so vivid for me. I was standing near a window in the classroom and you were at the door with the woman. You were close to the door and you hugged her.
Oh, I can't remember.
So, I'm really happy that you're talking about this with me because you're not telling me what
you do.
What I've not seen you do. I've followed you for community engagements. I've followed you for IDP camps. I've seen you practice what you're preaching. You're not a therapist, but you're a counselor.
Yes.
I've been told that you should go and do professional stuff in that because, a lot of women need kind, genuine people. So I am a recipient of that hug. So I know what that hug does. That hug is genuine, it's warm. It's I see you kind of hug. And I just want to tell you thank you.
I see you and I feel you.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people like that. Sometimes a lot of people, a few days ago I went to somebody is mourning and she was telling me about, and I hugged her and she said, I needed this. I needed this. So I don't hug everybody.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
Of course, yeah.
I hug people that I get the energy and the connection with, that I feel that when I hug, I can get a reciprocity from the person. Not when I hug and then it's only,
not forced.
It's not forced.
Because the person will not gain anything from the first hug.
Yes, yeah. So yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah, I think huggings help.
Yeah.
Listening help. Just keeping quiet and listening, and not listening to respond, listening just to listen.
So I want to ask you something that I know a lot of women who have been abused are watching and they're thinking the same thing because I was abused as a child. I don't like to talk about it big, but that happened to me too as well. And one question that I have been asked is, how can I identify who to talk to? How do I know that this person I'm talking to is genuine? I can afford therapy.
Okay, so
how do I know I can approach this person and tell this person?
Can I ask your question after your question?
Yeah, definitely.
How did you know
I could talk to you?
To me?
It's spiritual.
Yeah.
No, but really,
that's simple,
really,
yes.
I'll be really honest that it's spiritual. People don't like to hear this, and sometimes
spiritual.
I want to hide my spirituality because I don't believe in religiosity.
Religiosity is not.
I want to hide my spirituality and say, people will say this one has come,
but
it was spiritual. You're a Muslim,
and then
but there was a synergy.
Yeah, there was a synergy. There's this energy that connects us.
Yes, and I dare say that part of what connected us was the fact that I could recognize the genuine humanity in you.
Thank you.
Yes, because you also know that most women who have gone through any sort of sexual abuse as children or whatever, they are sensitive people. That's one of the wounds. It's now that I'm learning that it's not a wound, it's also a superpower. Being sensitive and vulnerable is a superpower. But if you're not careful, it can be a problem.
It goes both ways.
So my sensitivity helped me to be able to tell that this person is genuine. It took me time to even get to a point where I'm saying it publicly. For years, no one knew.
You were not saying it.
I didn't tell anybody for When did I tell you? When I was 20 what?
You were around 22 or
20.
23 or 24.
No, I think I was 24.
24 years, around that time.
You were the one that encouraged me to tell my mom
Mm.
because I didn't tell my mom.
Yeah, you said you did. You've never told
No.
that.
And I'm saying this here, I'm not saying this here for pity. And you know that I've
Mm-mm.
gotten to a point in my life where that's not
Mm.
a poking pain
Yes.
anymore. I'm saying it to encourage someone that you need to find people who you can talk to. So I was able to find you because I recognized that you were a genuine, you were genuine,
Mm.
and that you listened to me in other areas. When I spoke to you about other things, just my career, and you
Mm.
listened to me, so
Mm.
there was that openness. That and you are also a vulnerable person.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's another thing. You were also a vulnerable person. So you were
Yeah.
not with everyone.
Mm.
You just like your hug. You know who to be vulnerable with, and
Mm.
you were vulnerable with me,
Mm.
and I was able to recognize that I could
Mm.
speak to you about
Yeah.
it. So what? So that's my answer. What's your answer?
So my answer is how do you recognize somebody that you should speak to? It happens. You will know the person to speak to.
Hmm.
You will know, as like you knew,
Mhm.
you will know the person to speak to, because you'll see that energy that is being transmitted out there into the universe,
Mhm.
that this person, I can speak to that person,
Mhm.
maybe from the person's aura, the person's man, the way the person
Yeah.
present themselves,
Yeah.
and you say, can I speak to you? And the person, we a lot of them spoke to us during that journey when we are
Yeah.
having that
Yeah.
break the silence,
Yeah.
building
Even
children.
men.
Yes, a lot of people spoke to us. A lot of people came out of the box and told us this is what happened to them. And we're able to help a lot of people to speak to the people. I wanted you to speak to your mom because you had this anger within you
Mhm.
against her. And I told you one thing. Maybe she didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe she didn't even know. And then it's going to kill her to know that you did, you went through this
Mhm.
without her
Being there to support.
to
So
support you.
sometimes it's also so what I'm hearing you saying is that sometimes it's important that you let your family members
It's very
in,
important.
the ones that care about you, your
Yes,
safe family members.
yes,
We talk about safe and
it's
unsafe
safe.
adults.
Yeah,
It still applies as an
yes,
adult
yes,
woman
yeah,
that you need to talk to the
mm,
safe adults in your life. If your
yes.
mom is safe, you need to speak
You
to
need
your
yes.
mom
And most times moms are safe.
most
I think
times. Yes,
moms
I
are
agree with
safe
you.
most
I agree
times.
with you.
Moms are safe. Moms are always that pillar,
Yeah.
that anchor that
Yeah.
you need. And basically, I think if you already, the reason why you're able to heal fast is because you already have an anchor,
Hmm.
which is you know. I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but you know that you have God
Very true.
is
The
your
spiritual
anchor,
part of it is very, very
is your
strong.
anchor.
Yeah.
You went through this, and I must say to you, I'm very proud of
Thank
you.
you.
You went through this
Yeah.
because you have to do this. You have become an inspiration to a lot of people. I know that a lot of people do not like to connect these things, but nothing happens coincidentally. I think there's always a reason for things to happen in our lives. There are very, very bad things that happen to us as children, and then we grow up to become uh, like um, like the
Hmm.
solutions.
Hmm.
So that's what you're doing right now. You're becoming a solution for those children that do not have the avenue of letting out how they feel,
Breaking the silence,
breaking the
and I would
silence.
dare say that if you are watching us and you've been sexually abused as a child, or you've gone through rape as a woman and you've never told anyone, it's not good.
It's not good at all. You need to tell somebody, you need to let it out, because sometimes it becomes a trigger. It comes out on the most unsuspecting moments of your life. And when it comes out, it could be in public.
Hmm.
And when it comes out in public, it leaves a deeper scar on you,
Hmm.
because you don't even know why you did that. You don't know why.
You began to see yourself acting irrationally. I
Irrationally.
remember there was a lady that was actually severely sexually abused as a child, and she reached out to me and we spoke. And one of the things that was happening to her was hypersexuality. So it's almost as if you masturbate in public. You almost can't put it together. You're almost like erratic. as it regards sex. And as you said, this thing was an hindrance
Mm-hmm.
because publicly it was almost public knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that comes a little bit close to her knows that this person is not normal.
Yeah.
This person has a problem,
Mm.
And I told her that the first step in healing was that she had opened up to tell someone
Somebody,
about it
yes,
because
yes.
she has kept it mute and
Mm.
she's such an introvert, you know.
It
She
makes
had
a
not
lot of
spoken
people
about
become
it.
introverts. Yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully for someone like that, went on ahead and was able to see a therapist and started to
Mm.
kickstart her healing.
Mm.
And last I checked, they were able to work on the hypersexuality. But it reminded me of what you said, reminded me of that story that if you're not careful, you begin to exhibit things that becomes
In
public
public,
knowledge
yes.
and you become ashamed of yourself.
Yes, yes.
And don't forget that sexual abuse makes women carry shame throughout
Yes,
their
yeah,
life if you're not careful.
absolutely.
I had to get to a point
Mm.
in my life where I physically stood
Mm.
and looked myself in the mirror and told myself that I did something. I did like a gesture. I carried myself this way and I said, I dropped shame today.
Mm.
I'm not carrying the burden of
Mm.
shame anymore.
Mm.
Because we don't know it. We go on a scale and we check our weight.
Mm.
Our weight is
Mm.
50.
Mm.
Is a lie. That weight is lying. There are
Mm.
so many
Other
emotional
things.
baggage that is making us heavy.
Mm.
But once you're able to get to that point where you're like, I
Mm.
dropped shame,
Mm.
I dropped guilt.
Mm.
It's not my fault.
And these
It
things
helps
really,
you
that
light. It helps you be
self-talking is
lighter.
one of the therapies that
Yeah.
one can adopt.
Mhm.
Talking to yourself, reminding yourself of your worth, reminding yourself of the power and the energies that God has given you, reminding yourself that you are bigger than that tiny little demeaning voice that keeps
Coming to you
nagging
and telling you you're not enough.
you are not enough.
You should be ashamed
You
of
should be,
yourself.
yes, you should be able to respond to that thing and shut that voice forever.
It's
It doesn't,
possible.
it's not
It's
something
possible.
that happens immediately, but it happens. Telling that voice that you're bigger than what that voice is saying to you takes a while, but it goes away.
And
Well,
yeah.
someday it becomes the voice. You just wake up one day and it's not there.
The voice is silent. Like you
Silent
silence it for life. It's like you've sent
forever.
it back in. It has
And then it's
left.
and then you
I
you
agree with you.
you assume another level of power in yourself that is positive. It's functional. I want to use the word functional. It's positive and it's functional. It's functional because it helps you to drive the purpose that you're created for.
That's deep.
Yes,
That's
it
deep.
helps you to drive that purpose. That because a lot of times we do not even understand why we're here, and then we do not understand why things happen to us. From for the longest time, I now know that yes, that there's a reason for my being here, and the reason for my being here is bigger than me, and
It's bigger than what you've
it's
gone through.
it's bigger than me and it's bigger than what I've gone through. And it's not something I can do by myself. It's something that I can do the collective or community who are thinking alike like me. You're one of the people
Yeah.
that have walked that have walked the path with me. I would never have done all the things that people say I do without people like you.
Community.
Yes, without a community. And that's the African way. We're never created for us to exist by ourselves in silos. We're created to exist as a collective.
So if you're listening, I hope you're understanding that what is saying is that if you've been sexually abused as a child or as an adult woman, do not heal in isolation. You're not a silos. I think I'm going to hold on to that line. I know it generally, but I don't know it the way
Yeah.
you just put it. You were created to be in a
In
community.
a community.
So your healing, your purpose is in community.
So people do not understand the grand master plan of how God created us. The program He put on earth. It's just for you to look around you and look deep enough for you to see that God created a structure from motherhood, from fatherhood to motherhood to children, a family. this small institution becomes what we have as a community, and into a state, into country and different continents
Continents,
and
the
everything.
world,
So it
Earth.
started with that small family. That's how God created us. And whatever we are going to do for ourselves, whatever we are opportune to do as a person, is we have to always look at that small circuit of family. We have to do it in that family. And that's one of the reasons why women community in Africa was created.
Yeah.
Because we know, we agree, we believe that gender-based violence cannot be tackled by one NGO, two NGOs, or three. It has to be many
A
NGOs coming
coalition,
together,
many
a
people.
coalition of people
Yeah.
coming together with like-mindedness, magnifying the words, telling the word like what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're one of our, you are
Yeah.
the congratulations, you are
Thank
the
you.
chairperson
Of the
for
learning
learning
and
and
dev.
development.
Yeah.
So, and it's for us to continue the path. We need to keep at it. We need to keep at it. The processes do not just come out like that. It takes a while. It takes more work. It takes everyone together to do the work. So basically, what we're saying is that if you're going to heal, don't heal by yourself.
You
Heal.
need
Start.
community.
Identify a family member that is safe, like you said. Identify that person you can go to. And that family member doesn't even have to be somebody in your family. That family member can be somebody who you chose to be family.
So a chosen family. It
Yes.
must not be
It
blood.
doesn't have to be blood or kin.
Just like you and I.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are not blood and kin, but the first time you came to me, I wasn't seeing you as somebody outside my family. I saw you as my child.
Yeah.
So and that was how the process began.
Yeah.
And I was very proud of you when you told me you went to your mom and you both cried together and everything.
Yeah.
And it's a process.
It is. It is.
And now look at you now helping other people.
Yeah.
Who knows how many millions of people are watching you doing this, and how many people you are becoming the anchor for them.
Yeah.
For them to go through the process.
Yeah, stating that you're not that.
Yes.
Your life cannot be defined by that.
Yes.
You can't make that to be the definition of how your life is going to go.
So there had been in the past a lot of people saying that once you are raped, you are a damaged good.
That's not true.
No, you are a survivor.
Or once you
are
were abused as a child, you're not even a victim, you're a survivor. But I will say something that I have experienced. I'm speaking from first-hand experience too as well, that you decide if you're going to be a victim or a survivor. Yes, because you can call me a survivor. You can hold my hands and hug me and say you are a survivor. But if I do not run with that word that you've given me, that affirmation rather that you've given me, I will remain in victimhood.
Yeah, a survivor because you survived the attack, you survived the illness,
yes,
the injury, whatever that came with it, everything that came with that injury, that incident, you survived it, and now you are becoming you are moving from that survival status to an inspiration.
Very important.
You have moved from that part to being an inspiration to many people. You have you have equipped yourself, you have gone back to school, read about it, learn about it, see how many more people you can help in this journey. That makes me very proud of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very, very
Thank you so much.
And I pray that we have a lot of people like you doing the same thing.
Yeah,
so whatever evil or whatever bad happens to us, it didn't happen because God allows it to happen. It happens because probably you are a messenger by God for you to be able to do more for people.
I know our time is fast spent, but there was a question I was going to ask you that someone had asked me before. So I have two more questions to ask you. So the second to the last question is this. You made me remember that question. Someone asked me and said, why did God allow this to happen to me? Because he wanted to prove a point, or he wanted me to be a messenger. Why didn't he just allow me grow up and decide that I want to help girls and women who have been abused? Why did I have to go through abuse as a child to be the one to carry the message of hope back to women and children who have been abused as a child? Someone asked me that question.
And why not you? Why not you?
Why, like,
Yes, why
why
not
not
you?
you?
Yes. You have become a huge blessing to a lot of
Through
people
your pain,
through your pain,
through your hurt,
through your hurt,
through your disgrace.
through your shame, through everything. Why not you? See, this concept about, and I may be controversial
Mm.
about when we sit down and say, why me? Sometimes I feel, for me, this is my own personal opinion.
Conviction, yeah.
Yes, I don't know what other people think. I feel that what we do is we're just entitled
Hmm.
people, because when God created us, He did not tell us that the life was going to be easy. There's so many people. He said he didn't write it that there's something easy about it. He has created and designed our lives for different reasons, and it is left for us to identify those reasons and run with it. When I don't want bad things to happen to me, I don't want bad things to happen to you. But when it does happen,
How can we
how do we move
from that?
from that? How do we get angry at God and say that, oh God, you made me go through, you're angry?
And
What
so I will
what
be angry at
so
you, and I will not
so
impact my world.
so even if you are angry at God, what would that do for you? You're just going to enjoy yourself more.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just like you taking water and throwing it to the sun that you are throwing. It will come back to you.
You're saying, "Oh, son, you're too hot. I'm angry." So Garua.
It's an effort.
Yeah.
It's a futile effort. When things happen to us, good, bad, or ugly, we're meant to strengthen our minds. We're meant to walk through it. When we're meant to seek a closeness, a connection with God,
And in so
that will,
doing,
in so doing, it will lead us to greater path ahead. We become inspiration. We become people who are doing more for humanity. People, sometimes these kinds of occurrences even make you have a lot of love inside of you,
very true. Very
because that
true.
it's that love that
Yeah.
is manifesting, that you're thinking about other people, and
Yeah.
it's that love
Yeah.
that is making you want to help other people.
I dare say that being abused as a child, one of the manifestations after after healing and reaffirming myself is that it made me understand that you're not on earth for yourself.
No.
So it's just what you said, that after you've gone to God and you settle with Him, He now takes you on a great path, and that great path is not for fame, it's
Mm.
not for money.
Mm-mm. It's
It's
not
that
for
you
recognition. It's not
have
for.
to create, you have to affect your own community. I created the world, and you also have to
Yeah.
create. You
He,
have
he
to
didn't he
help.
didn't ask you. I keep telling, this is what I tell my NYC members, the
Yeah.
CISA members. This is what I told them. I said that for each one of us, if you remember, if you look, I went to a Catholic school in primary school, and
Mhm.
I had this book, my book of Bible story.
Mm.
And when you open my book of Bible story, you see how God created the world in the beginning, the
Mm.
pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see that the world was empty.
Yeah.
How did it become with this all of the skyscrapers? Because He said, you become an architect, you become a
Hmm.
workman, you
Hmm.
become this,
Hmm.
you become, and
Hmm.
then we all built it as a community, and this is where we are. So for each
Powerful.
person, there's nobody in this world that is useless. Everyone has a reason why they're created. Everyone must be doing one thing or the other. That's why we're created, to do one thing or the other, to make our contributions to the world.
Thank you very much, MM. And I want to move from the emotional now and end on a strategic, and or rather have a strategic ending rather. And my question is, what do you envision for the landscape of support and recovery services for survivors of sexual abuse in Nigeria? And how do you think your work right now, you know, comes
You
to
know,
play in
you
that?
know, you and I created a safe place. You remember that job I asked you to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
That, I think, will go a long way. We need more safe homes, safe havens for for
Yeah.
for women who are abused. For women who have gone through gender-based
And
violence,
running away from
are running away from their husband who is going to kill them. I think we need more safe places for women where they can thrive, where we can have trainings for them, how they can become self sufficient, how they can also connect with therapists, how they can connect with other human beings who have been abused themselves, and how they can share their stories and be a community, and then from there move away from that
And help other
and help
people.
other
And
people.
don't forget that their purpose can also not be in the sexual abuse space. They
So
can
they
be
stay, yes,
architects,
yes, yes,
engineers.
yes. They can also, you build this, you have the safe, very effective, safe home where they can have access to STEM, they can have access, that's STEM,
Yeah.
science, technology,
Study and
engineering, and
mathematics.
mathematics,
Yeah.
even art, STEAM. Some people are calling
Yeah.
it STEAM now. They can have access to entrepreneurship. They can have access to healing, therapies,
Yeah.
have access to a community that they can grow together with.
Hmm.
And this place, one of the things we identified while we were doing our research that was we found that um, we don't have a lot of safe places where women um, can take their children, the ones that have been abused can take their children to.
Yeah, we
So
have just few.
we thought that we should have homes where these children, these women can be with their children, and then at the end of the day, if they decide to go back to school, if they decide to continue in their professions, because
Mm.
I've met a lot of women who are also professionals
Of
who have
course.
been abused,
Of
and they didn't.
course.
At the end of the day, the men kicked them out. They don't have a
A
place to
place to
go,
stay.
and they
Yeah.
needed a place to stay for just maybe 6 months or 7 months
Before
or
they
eight
get
months
back
before they
themselves.
get themselves back,
And
and
no,
then
nowhere.
nowhere.
And we should not forget that abuse is not just done to vulnerable women or children.
Yeah.
We have women who are powerful. We have
Yes.
CEOs who have broken the silence,
Yes.
who have come to say, I'm being raped by my
Yes.
husband, or I was raped by a colleague, or I was raped in
There's
church.
so many gory stories that you're talking about.
And
They're
you're
coming,
just
and I
remembering
don't want
them.
to. I don't want to
Yes,
talk about it.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much
much.
for having this sit down with me. I'm certain someone will learn from this. Ah, thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're welcome.
And definitely you're going to come back here.
Okay.
Yes, I want to
I'll be.
just say
I will be honored to come back here.
thank you.
Anything I can do to support
Thank you.
this.
And I just want to say that I have an email address I usually drop in the description box for people to send in emails. And for any of you, I'm going to give maybe 2 slots. For any of you who would like to sit down with MM and I and just talk about your healing journey and how it's been going for you,
And get
just
hugs.
and get hugs, genuine hugs, and you get people who truly listen and who truly
But for
care.
only female, I can't hug
No,
men.
minus men. The channel is actually called for healing girls,
Yeah.
But even if you're a guy and you want to talk about your healing journey from sexual abuse too, please do send an email to the email address for healing girls ng@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Until my
Thank
next
you.
video. Bye.